traditional medicine, or if you like, herbal medicine. So today I'm going to invite the moderators to come up. Dr. Debbie, please come up and take the podium. I want to just officially open this particular workshop so that we all enjoy it. So please come. Thank you. It's all yours.
No, thank you so much, President. So we're going to really have a very exciting session today. And as the Honorable and President mentioned, this is a very important topic dear to our heart as Africans. I think what I'm going to start with is that during COVID-19 pandemic, you all remember how desperate we were in terms of the solutions to a disease that we didn't know. I think there were several products, and there were even resolutions to move some of these products into clinical trials to be sure that we have safety and efficacy of some of those products, namely 11 products, I mean 11 across the continent, very important. So the WHO in July 2020, that's during COVID, established what we call the REACT, which was actually a team of experts to look at this product, to see how we can advance them into manufacture. And this is very important because these are homegrown solutions, which we all rely on at some point. We mentioned 80% of the African population still rely on traditional medicine. I think it's important we start moving this agenda forward. How do we attract investors? How do we ensure that we really had products that can move forward? So that's been used in Asia, but not really moved upon. It's a good place here in Ghana, where there's a combination of traditional medicines and conventional medicine to drive this agenda. So I'm going to invite the speakers here to come and set the scene so that we can really start this important conversation. So the first speaker, it's Prof. Alex Asase, represented here by Dr. Mavis Idom. So you have the floor, please.
Thank you. So as said, I am Dr. Mavis Idom, the head for the Clinical Research Department for the Center for Plant Medicine Research, representing my executive director since he had something as important as this one. So I'm talking about the status of traditional medicine in West Africa. To start with, I would want you to know where we are coming from. We are from the Center for Plant Medicine Research, Mothopeng, and the institute was established by the Specialist Health Training and Plant Medicine Research Act 2011, Act 833. So the day that the thing was accepted in Ghana was 1975, and the vision is to make herbal medicine a natural choice for all. But then our mission statement is to gain the highest recognition for research and development of herbal products that meet the exacting needs of both patients and industry through innovative scientific research and productive partnerships. So for us, what we are trying to do is to give you the best for what we need for the treatment of medication, of diseases. So for those of you who have never been to the center before, you are seeing the pictures as on the slides. Traditional medicine is defined as the sum total of knowledge, skills, and practices based on theories, beliefs, and experiences indigenous to different cultures, whether explicable or not, used in the maintenance of health, as in the prevention, diagnosis, improvement, or treatment of physical and mental illnesses. So what I would want you to understand is traditional medicine can be explicable or not. So sometimes people ask a lot of questions. Whatever the people are saying, can it be explained? We don't even understand the science behind it. Yes, that is what traditional medicine is all about. There are a lot of usage of traditional medicine, and My moderator actually stated that 80% of people in Africa depend on traditional medicine for their primary health care. And people are using these traditional medicines because they think it is accessible, they feel it is available, and they feel it is very cheap to afford. And because socially and culturally, we have really accepted it as something that helps with the treatment of diseases. In Ghana, we have a lot of traditional medicine practices. So most of the time, we have different things that people do in Ghana, and they are all called practitioners. We have the faith healers, where you go to either a church premise, where somebody sees to you because of your disease condition, but then the person prays for you in one way or the other. So these are the faith-based healers. Then we have the psychic healers. Mostly in Ghana, we call them the okonfos. So for the okonfos, when you go to their place, they do a whole lot of things. They can use cowries and different things. And in the end, they can give you herbal medications as well in the treatment of your disease. And then we have those who have actually made themselves as the herbal medicine practitioners. So for these people, there's nothing like religious background with whatever they do. They just use the plants that they use for the treatment of diseases. Then we have the traditional birth attendants, where in a community, there are people who help people to give birth. So when somebody is in labor, these people are called upon, and they help with the delivery of babies. Then we have traditional circumcisers. And then we have the medical herbalists, which I'm proud to say that I am one of the first batch of the medical herbalists who are trained by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. So because you are in Accra, maybe you might not have been to Kumasi before, but at least you have seen somebody who was trained in that university, and we are proud to be called as such. Generally, traditional medicine formulations have come a long way. At first, there used to be just the macerations of the leaves, and then the people are given these leaves that they should go and apply. But as time goes on, things have changed. Now we have capsules, we have tablets. In fact, when you come to Mothopeng currently, we have machines for tablets and we have machines for tea making, and there are different forms that are coming up. So the picture that you are seeing is one of our products. It's called Euro 500. It's actually used for benign prostatic hyperplasia. So for those of you who would want to decrease the size of your prostate because it's bothering you, this is a capsule medication that could help you. For regulation in Ghana, the Food and Drugs Authority actually regulates the products that people are making. But before the medicines are registered by the Food and Drugs Authority, the person would have to send the medication to Mothopeng, that is to the Center for Plant Medicine Research, for safety analysis before it can be accepted by the Food and Drugs for registration. The Traditional Medicine Practice Council, which is a council under the Ministry of Health, also regulates the practice of traditional medicine. So for all the things that I listed earlier on, these people are regulated by the Traditional Medicine Practice Council. Concerning the policy formulation of traditional medicine, there's also a directorate under the Ministry of Health, which is the Traditional and Alternate Medicine Directorate, usually called TAMD. And these people look at the policy formulations of our traditional medicines in the country, Ghana. When you look at the sub-region, the West African sub-region, it is seen that all countries except Cape Verde have the traditional medicine desk in their Ministry of Health. And looking at the Food and Drugs Authority, Nigeria, Togo, and Benin have something like that. But then the other countries have different institutions that come together to do the work of the Food and Drugs Authority. Generally, in Ghana, we have gone ahead to even do integration of these herbal medicines into our general hospitals. So in Ghana currently, when you walk into any district hospital, about 55 of them have herbal units where you could see one of my kind, which is a medical herbalist who would see you based on whatever the problem is, come to a diagnosis, and then give you herbal medicines. But then the problem here is that the National Health Insurance does not cover the herbal medications that the person is supposed to take. In Côte d'Ivoire, herbal units, just like something in Ghana, was also established, but currently is no more running. And in Mali and Nigeria, they are doing a lot concerning the integration. So that means that we still have a lot to do in West Africa, and we need to push more for traditional medicine to be recognized and then to be done in a better way. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges. There are still challenges that we need to look at. So generally, there's difficulty assessing safety and efficacy studies. We are given the medications, but then the problem is that when we are given, we are not looking at what is happening to the people, and then we are not picking up their cases one after the other. But then the good thing is that when you come to the Center for Plant Medicine Research, where I am the head for the clinical research, this is something we are doing judiciously. And then there's lack of standardization and indications. So today somebody goes for some plants from somewhere and then produces a product, but then the problem is that the product that a person has produced, if you compare the taste to the other medication that was produced maybe a week ago, there might be differences in taste. So there's a need for us to standardize these things to help us so that the traditional medicines that we are taking are of the same standards. The other thing is that regulation, even though we are trying, we are still not there. We need to push up a little bit. And the most important thing is that we are helping with herbal medicines. We are using plants, but then we are not regrowing these plants. We are not putting them back as we are supposed to do. So with time, these plants might go in extinction. And this is something that we need to work at. We need to put up more of our plant medicine farms so that in the end, we don't get locked up. These are the people I would want to acknowledge. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. I think this is very important. What you have really listened is already kind of a scanning, an overview of really traditional medicines in West Africa. That's very important. She actually made justice to the topic. But what we want to learn from here, which was very important to me, it's the educational systems. Be sure we start adapting it to our own educational programs. We're living with it. 80% of the population in Africa using traditional medicine. I think this is a good product as an example that we need to start really, not really reinventing the wheel, but really adapting our own system. The second, she really emphasized on that regulation. It's very important to build trust, to be even sure that we can export this product. They have to be regulated. That's why we have the national regulatory authorities. So, and then the integration, okay, into the whole medical practice. It's very important as well. And then lastly, the challenges. We have all listened, we need to fund R&D for traditional medicines. We need to do clinical trials. These are expensive. And then also we need to be sure that there's contributions for different stakeholders for standardization, even just really making it appealing for those who want to take it. If it's well packaged, people definitely are going to buy it for it. So very important. Thank you so much for the excellent presentation. So I'm not sure if Dr. Angela Akon is in the room. That's the next presenter. Please, you have the stage.
I am slightly shorter than Mavis, so I have to adjust the microphone accordingly. So, good afternoon, everyone. As has been introduced, my name is Angela Akon. I work with the World Health Organization country office here in Accra, Ghana, and I'm the technical focal person for integrated service delivery. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting WHO to be part of these discussions, and we are actually happy to be here to deliver the presentation this afternoon, which will be looking at the global perspectives relating to integrating traditional medicine into primary health care. And so traditional medicine has been with us for centuries and decades and is still with us today. Actually, globally, we have about 80% of our populations who use traditional medicine for various conditions, not just globally, also in Africa. Studies have shown that about 80% of the population rely on traditional medicine for their health needs. Next slide, please. And so you'd realize that based on the acceptability or the acceptance of traditional medicines globally and continentally, in 1978, you realize that the Alma Ata Declaration that was done in 1978 actually is in line with integrating traditional medicine into primary health care, reaffirmed by the Astana Declaration and Ouagadougou Declarations in 2008, respectively. And as a result, I can. This one, okay, thank you. So I pointed where? There, just anywhere, okay, all right, thank you. So as a result, you realize that for us to attain universal health coverage that a lot of countries have signed on to, we must begin to take seriously the subject of integrating traditional medicine into our formal healthcare systems. And so, when we learn from countries who have fully integrated traditional medicine into their formal healthcare systems, such as China, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, we see that there are advantages to actually advancing this discussion and deliberate intention towards integrating traditional medicine into our formal healthcare systems. It has advantages for enhanced access and health equity, where there's a wider reach to the public, especially those who are in the underserved areas, and of course, the cultural acceptability of the care provided through traditional medicine practice cannot be overemphasized. We also see that it provides a holistic approach to the provision of health, where the care provided is patient-centered and there is better management even of chronic conditions, as well as reduced side effects. And definitely there are economic benefits, where you have cost-effective interventions provided through traditional medicine practice, where there's optimization of resources used towards advancement of science and innovation. And so on the global level, there have been deliberate and intentional actions at promoting traditional medicine. One of those key strategies have been the development of the WHO, the World Health Organization Global Traditional Medicine Strategy, spanning 2025 to 2034. This document, as you can see, is really new. The previous one, which was developed, kind of expired in 2023, and a new one has now been developed with the contributions of countries around the world, including Ghana and other countries in Africa, where this strategy spells 4 major strategic objectives focused on strengthening evidence base and promoting regulatory frameworks around the continent and globally. We want to see stronger, more resilient regulatory systems that will ensure that the traditional medicine products available to publics that we consume are safe, quality, and effective. And it's not just the products that regulations cover, actually. It also looks at the practitioners. In Ghana, for instance, we have the Traditional Medicine Practice Council that actually regulates the practitioners as well as the practice. And then also we are looking at general system integration, which is the real subject of this evening, where we're looking at integrating traditional medicine into health systems such that it complements, not replaces, but complements the biomedical or formal healthcare, and improves, in doing that, it improves service delivery. So in Ghana, for instance, you see in the next few slides, we have actually initiated integrating 3M into our formal healthcare system. And also it becomes very important to empower the community, empower them such that they make informed choices about their health decisions and actually stimulate and build trust among them for the healthcare system. And so, I just move to the next slide. So in Africa, our rich traditional and complementary integrative medicine is shaped by our rich culture, ecological, and linguistic diversity. That's something that really makes us Africa and Africans. And so spanning the year 2000 through to the year 2023, the Afro region, WHO has implemented plans of action for both the first and second decades of traditional medicine that we have commemorated on the continent. We just concluded the commemoration of the second decade of traditional medicine in Africa. We have also implemented, as I mentioned earlier, the global strategy, the first strategy that was developed before this new one that has been developed. And there have been other strategies as well that we have supported on the continent, targeted at promoting and enhancing the role of traditional medicine in healthcare systems. And as you may all know, if you are a country in Africa, the 31st of August every year has been established as a day to commemorate the African Traditional Medicine Day. And you know, and I believe that this has been institutionalized in countries across the continent. And there are also several tools that WHO African Regional Office has developed for countries to adapt to their situation in their aspirations of institutionalizing traditional medicine in their former healthcare system. Such tools include plans and frameworks for the training of health science students on traditional medicines, tools on integrating traditional medicine into primary healthcare, and so on and so forth. And so the graph you see, the bar chart you see, just gives an indication of the progress that has been made. We worked this across about 13 indicators. And you see, for instance, that for National Traditional Medicines Policy, in the year 2000, represented by the blue bar, we had only 8 countries on the continent who had developed their national traditional medicine policies. And as of 2023, we see that that number has increased 5-fold. If you look at traditional medicines products, traditional medical products registered on the continent, for instance, in the year 2000, there were about just 20 of them registered across the continent. As of 2023, that has also increased 5-fold. We have about 100 products, 100 traditional medicine products registered on the continent now. If you look at allocation of funds, for instance, for research in traditional medicine, you see it's nearly doubled. And so generally, we have progressed on all the indicators relating to traditional medicines on the continent. These are a few country examples for that I would like to share. For instance, in addition to the progress, what I showed in the previous chart, you see that from the year 2000, between the year 2000 and 2023, there are countries who have established functional two-way referral systems, and it increased from 5 countries in the year 2000. As of 2023, we now have 17 countries who have two-way referral systems in their countries. And an example in Ghana, I have actually witnessed this, where you see a two-way referral system between the district hospital and a traditional medicine practice setting. In Ghana, we call them bone setters. So the bone setter receives a condition, and if it's not complex, he's able to handle the patient. But if it's a complex fracture, he refers to the nearest district hospital. And then also as I said earlier, in Ghana, we have integrated traditional medicine into our former healthcare system. In the year 2012, we had just 19 facilities who had integrated TM into their healthcare system, or we had facilities who had both biomedical services and the traditional medical services available in the facility. As of 2023, there are about 55 facilities who have integrated traditional medicine into their system. And same for Tanzania, offering both TM and biomedical treatment for patients, 7 in 2023, and by the end of 2025, they had doubled that number. Discussions are ongoing to integrate or include traditional medicine products into health insurance medicines list, as well as ensuring that the benefits package also cover the conditions that these TMPs see. And so in Ghana, Mali, and South Africa, I know those discussions are advanced and they are going on, and I think it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully, by the time we meet again in another ICASA like this, the story will be better than we are hearing today in terms of the insurance coverage. Despite these improvements that we have just seen, challenges still remain, as you can see. We have, for the WHO Afro region, we have 47 countries that we work with, and we still have countries who are not quite where they ought to be in terms of integrating traditional medicine into the primary healthcare system. Of course, funding is what we call now a universal challenge. There is limited funding in rolling out these initiatives. We also have gaps with infrastructure in terms of the facilities that these services are provided from. And then public misconception is also a key factor here. If you need to gain the trust of the public, they must be educated, awareness must be created. You need to ensure that the patients that come to you are informed and able to actually take good decisions about their health and be partners in their treatment therapies. And then, of course, research and development in traditional medicine is also a challenge because we don't have enough investment into that area. So by this conversation we are having here today, are calling for intentional increased investment into R&D in traditional medicine. And so in terms of recommendation, as the World Health Organization, we will continue to provide the technical assistance and develop the standards required to drive the actions needed for integrating traditional medicine into formal healthcare system. And we'll also continue to provide the technical assistance required in the area of research to strengthen evidence in traditional medicine. And then we're also recommending that countries in Africa continue to scale up integration of traditional medicine into their formal healthcare system and also invest in capacity building. The speaker before me mentioned that in Ghana, we now have a dedicated course training medical herbalists. I think this is something that can be replicated in other countries and actually leveraged on by other countries. We also need to continue promoting the collaboration between traditional medicine practitioners and the biomedical or the allopathic practitioners. Countries also would need to consider expanding herbal medicine units, including traditional medicine products in their health insurance list. For those countries who have initiated those conversations, we need to intensify it and ensure that we attain the aim for which the conversations began. And for countries who haven't, I think it would be good to start those conversations and actually leverage on the lessons that the countries who have already started those conversations are. And then I mentioned public engagement and trust, which is key. We must continue to strengthen that so we keep the trust that the public have in the services that we provide as traditional medicine practitioners. Yeah. So in concluding, I would like to say that, of course, Africa has advanced in integrating traditional medicine. But ongoing investments, research, and collaboration are still important and key to be considered if we are to promote traditional medicine to the level where it needs to get to. And then I would like to use this opportunity to call stakeholders to action, to support policies, to encourage innovation, as well as the engagement with the community if we are to keep the product safe and effective and keep the practice relevant within our healthcare systems. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Angela. I think what comes immediately to my mind, it's when I started looking at the chair, the SAR president, there's a component on traditional medicine in his CV. So I started suspecting this session might be an advocacy session. So no, I think we're making good progress based on the presentation, the two previous presentations. What I can recall there, which is what WHO is pushing, guidelines. But also, Angela, it's not a session for questions, but we need also a reference center for traditional medicine. Why in China, why not in Africa? We need to start really advocating because that brings resources, that brings talents, that brings infrastructure, some of the challenges that you've raised. So I think this is very important. So we remember, I think we recall probably to summarize in the key points here, universal health coverage, primary health care are very important. And then all these are linked to health-seeking behaviors. If we're saying 80% of population are consuming this product, what are we doing to get sure? And that links to community. We need to start looking at what our community is looking at. And how do we embrace it? I mentioned earlier packaging to make it more appealing for our community. That trust shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so if we do that and we listen to the language, the social behavioral, I'm sure Prof. Morenike will tackle this. So we'll be sure that these products are not really a problem for the user, because we already know, we have the data substantiating that 80% of the population are using this. We need to start really moving into engaging the community to understand what's going on there. I think the second point, the third point, because I mentioned health-seeking behaviors already, is that WHO Center for Traditional Medicine in Africa. It's very important. That's the only way we push our own product. I've seen the draft, the data, very important. Funding is increasing. Number of product register increasing. That's great. That's great. And then the investment case. How do we make it, I said it earlier, for someone to put in money or resources to move this product into manufacture? So that public misconception also going to change. I think I'm not going to say that, but I wanted to say it. I'm sure most of us, at least once in the room, each of us use traditional product. I think we need to be ambassador of this product moving forward. So I think let's move to the next presentation. Is Dr. Benedict Osu? Are you around? Are you ready? Okay, so you're going to have the floor. So after that, I'll just allow one question. I wasn't allowed to do so that we can clear some of the misunderstanding. Maybe I've been already what? Oh, the next one. Okay. So who's the next one? Okay. Okay. So I've been. Can I have Dr. Aksobak on the floor? Sorry. Thank you so much. A round of applause to our speakers. They're doing a great job.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Je voudrais, dans ce vaste océan d'anglophones, faire passer quelques îlots de français. Mais avant de commencer mon exposé, je voudrais remercier l'organisation pour nous avoir invités à parler. Je suis le docteur Laurent Assoba, je suis médecin de santé publique, ancien directeur de la santé publique du Bénin et ancien directeur général adjoint de l'OAS. Mais en regardant les affiches, je n'ai pas pu trouver un seul logo de l'OAS. L'OAS, c'est quand même le bras armé de la CEDEAO pour la santé qui s'occupe des 15 pays de la CEDEAO. À plus forte raison, le sida, le palu et autres, ça fait partie de notre combat. C'est pour cela que je suggérerais au directeur qu'après la fin de la conférence, qu'on se voit pour voir pour les prochaines organisations comment est-ce qu'on peut aller déjà à Bobo Dioulasso. Pourquoi pas, je peux l'accompagner pour qu'on fasse un bon plaidoyer et avoir un peu plus de moyens pour l'organisation de cette conférence. Ceci étant, je voudrais donc vous parler un peu de la réglementation. Les deux collègues qui sont passés ont déjà parlé un peu, mais nous allons continuer pour parler un peu de comment faire pour que l'utilisation soit vraiment assurée des médicaments de la médecine traditionnelle, la réglementation et puis la politique. Slide. Next. Ben, c'est moi qui fais ici. Is me to move it. Okay. Oui, notre plan de présentation, après quelques introductions, nous allons parler des généralités, voir quelle est la politique relative à l'utilisation sûre de la médecine traditionnelle, la réglementation, voir quels sont les principaux axes d'action et les défis avant de faire quelques recommandations. En introduction, la collègue là parlait déjà de la définition de l'OMS par rapport à la médecine traditionnelle. Et effectivement, 70 à 85% des populations de nos pays font recours à cette médecine traditionnelle. Toutefois, c'est quand même une médecine qui devra être vraiment bien réglementée avec une bonne politique pour ne pas entraîner les patients vers la mort. La déclaration d'Alma Ata a été parlée aussi par la collègue, a fait que la médecine traditionnelle a été prise progressivement au sérieux et les directions de l'OMS ont mis donc avec les pays des décisions pour faire bouger les choses. Mais malheureusement, nous devrons donc assurer pour voir si effectivement on a la politique qu'il faut, on a la réglementation qu'il faut. Et ceci doit permettre de protéger, de promouvoir la pratique tout en garantissant ce que nous appelons la sécurité, l'efficacité et la qualité des produits. L'OMS, pour la décennie 2025-2034, veut avoir donc un monde où on garantit l'accès universel à des services de médecine traditionnelle efficaces et puis centrés sur la personne. Au moment où la médecine moderne a déjà balisé son terrain, la médecine traditionnelle est en train de se chercher pour pouvoir se mettre en ordre de bataille. Mais cette situation, malheureusement, est aggravée par l'insuffisance, voire l'absence totale de volonté politique de nos dirigeants qui savent très bien quand même que 70 à 80% des populations font recours à cette médecine traditionnelle. Dès lors, donc, il est important que nous puissions voir comment essayer de recadrer les choses pour que la population se sente en sécurité. Et toujours selon donc l'OMS, le recours à la médecine traditionnelle doit être fait et puis voir de façon concrète comment ça peut se fonder sur les meilleures pratiques de l'inocuité pour que réellement, au point de vue accessibilité économique, durabilité, acceptabilité, les populations soient au rendez-vous. Concernant la politique relative à l'utilisation sûre, c'est une politique qui vise d'abord à assurer la sécurité, l'efficacité et la qualité des produits et pratiques de la médecine traditionnelle. Deuxièmement, intégrer la médecine traditionnelle dans le système national de santé, la collègue de l'OMS vient d'en parler, protéger le savoir traditionnel et les ressources naturelles utilisées, promouvoir la recherche scientifique sur les plantes médicinales et les pratiques traditionnelles. Et enfin, encadrer sérieusement le renforcement des capacités de la formation des praticiens pour leur montrer comment est-ce qu'on cueille les plantes, comment est-ce qu'on les stocke pour avoir de bonne qualité et ceci dans des conditions hygiéniques acceptables. Quelle est, par rapport à la réglementation, l'utilisation donc, de cette médecine? Il doit y avoir un cadre légal de la pratique de la médecine traditionnelle dans les pays. Et chaque pays a donc adopté des décrets pour pouvoir avoir donc un contrôle sur ces médecines traditionnelles. Je donne juste quelques exemples. Par exemple, au Ghana ici, ça en est parlé, le Nigeria aussi avec le NAFDAC, le Bénin, et puis le Burkina Faso, et j'en passe. Il y a d'autres pays qui en ont fait, mais d'autres pays sont encore un peu en retard. Dans cette réglementation, il est important d'instaurer les mécanismes de réglementation appropriés pour pouvoir assurer les services de médecine traditionnelle, enregistrer et contrôle des produits. Là, il est donné obligation d'enregistrer tout produit traditionnel auprès de l'autorité nationale compétente, exiger des tests de toxicité, d'efficacité et de stabilité avant la mise sur le marché de ces produits issus de la médecine traditionnelle et puis voir les bonnes pratiques de fabrication pour les laboratoires et les produits. En troisième point, c'est la formation et agrément accordé aux praticiens reconnus par l'État. On doit leur délivrer de cadres de profession ou licence par le ministre en charge de la Santé, mettre en place des codes de conduite et d'éthique, possibilité de sanctions en cas de pratiques dangereuses ou de fausses publicités, et au niveau de protection des savoirs traditionnels et des ressources, application du protocole de Nagoya de 2010 sur l'accès aux ressources génétiques, et puis reconnaître le droit des communautés locales à la propriété intellectuelle sur les savoirs. Quels sont les principaux axes d'action et défis? D'abord, concernant la politique en matière de médecine traditionnelle, il faudra un cadre institutionnel. Il y en a dans beaucoup de pays, mais tous les pays n'ont pas encore ce cadre-là. avoir les normes et standards, donc adopter des normes, et la formation et certification des praticiens qui seront reconnus donc par l'État, la recherche et la validation des produits et des savoirs endogènes, la sensibilisation du public à l'usage sûr et rationnel des produits issus de la médecine traditionnelle, et puis inclut évidemment, tel que l'OMS l'a demandé pour la décennie 2025-2034, avoir des politiques sanitaires au niveau national et à tous les niveaux pour une meilleure intégration et qu'il y ait cette collaboration entre la médecine moderne et la médecine traditionnelle. Concernant la réglementation dans le domaine de la médecine traditionnelle, il est dit clairement que si nous voulons avoir pleinement le potentiel de la médecine traditionnelle au profit des populations, les États doivent investir massivement dans la recherche sur la médecine traditionnelle et faire de celle-ci une priorité. Il faudra donc alors favoriser donc la recherche de grande qualité, intégrer la médecine traditionnelle au niveau donc des services de santé publique, avoir des laboratoires ayant des capacités pour l'évaluation de la qualité des produits issus de la médecine traditionnelle et disposer de bonnes documentations scientifiques des pratiques. Lutter contre les contrefaçons, c'est important, et le commerce illicite des produits non homologués qui sont mis sur le marché et harmoniser au niveau des pays de la CEDEAO, tel que actuellement l'OAS est en train de faire, nous y sommes encore. Que faire comme recommandation? C'est de pouvoir passer donc à l'institutionnalisation et l'encadrement de la pratique de la médecine traditionnelle, renforcer la réglementation concernant les médicaments, appliquer les normes réglementaires strictes aux produits et valider scientifiquement les remèdes et pratiques traditionnelles qui sont utilisés et voir dans quelle mesure on ne pourrait pas introduire la médecine traditionnelle dans l'approche une seule santé telle que le demande l'OMS. On doit aussi renforcer les capacités scientifiques des praticiens et promouvoir les échanges avec les pratiques de la médecine conventionnelle, intégrer donc de façon sûre dans le service de santé cette médecine traditionnelle et améliorer l'allocation et la mobilisation des ressources additionnelles pour mettre en œuvre efficacement la stratégie régionale sur la médecine traditionnelle et surtout pour générer des preuves scientifiques de l'iniquité et de l'efficacité des remèdes traditionnels. Que dire en conclusion? Une harmonisation stricte des politiques et des réglementations dans la pratique de la médecine traditionnelle. Ceci accompagné par l'Union africaine, accompagné aussi par l'Organisation africaine de la propriété intellectuelle, avec le soutien actif de l'OMS et de toutes les sous-régions en matière de santé. Cela devrait permettre aux utilisateurs d'avoir une entité médicale au complet et cela pourra permettre au pays de pouvoir avancer vers la couverture sanitaire universelle tant souhaitée par les États africains. Je vous remercie. Merci. Thank you. Obrigado.
Non, merci bien, le docteur Laurent Assogba. But I think we've covered now. We've gone around the continent. Now we're back home. We need to be sure that they open the conversation and so that we can get more insight relating to this topic. So what I take from this, number one, I think we need a champion, AU champion. When I say it, I mean it. Within the AU system, you need a president that can take this agenda and move this forward and discuss with his peers. I can list at least 5 for now. Manufacturing is the president of Kenya. Pandemic preparedness is the president of South Africa. Domestic resource mobilization is the president of Rwanda. So all these presidents, cholera is the president of Zambia. So he actually in those AU meetings can take the file of each of those topics and have conversation with his own peers. We need a champion. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's good to see AU, see Africa CDC, WHO coming up really to support this. We need more political will. I think it was a very interesting presentation. I've seen a lot of components, the Nagoya protocol, the same thing around standardization. We talked about skilling and upskilling It's important. If we don't do that, again, these products are going to remain where they are. So the level of actually engaging with those traditional healers and so on, being sure that traditional medicine will bring it back to the agenda, and being sure that we support these entire. But the challenges are the same. Financing, infrastructure, training, regulation, and so on. So now that we have completed the presentation forming the basis of this conversation, do we have any question? Just one. I'm taking the liberty to ask just, if you have one single question for clarification before we bring the panel. Okay, I can see one there. Over to you. Do you have a mic, a roving mic? Just one question. We'll take the panel just to be sure that we have the audience with us. So please introduce yourself, be concise, just one single question. That'll be good. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Munya, and I'm coming from Stellenbosch University in South Africa, from the Africa Center for Inclusive Health Management. To the first speaker, my question is around, I think we were talking about public engagement. There's a number of things I'd like to raise. I'm not too sure what kind of policies we might need when 80% of Africans are already using this. I already see that as practice, as policy. That is already gone ahead of the written, because the written is not going to come and the way it is going. Because people are using it, 80% are already using it. You can stay behind with your policies, and because they're already doing that. The issue around the conceptualization of African traditional health, I personally have a problem with the concept traditional. Because the moment you talk traditional, inevitably you talk about modern. And you know, when you juxtapose traditional and modern, inevitably, if it is informal, if it is rural, if it is traditional, then people look down upon it. And I suggest we rather really maybe focus and call it the African indigenous health. That way, I think it is we deal less with issues of pejorative and adverse conceptualization that as part and parcel of that engagement. We are with the Western Cape Provincial Department of Health and Wellness in the Western Cape in Cape Town. We have already started this integration between your indigenous healers and scholars with the conventional, health facilities. And what is coming, it's quite early, and what is coming out of that is, for us, is very interesting. We are now wanting to push it to the development of short courses, as well as a training and qualifications development framework, that if you are an indigenous healer, then vis-a-vis someone who's been trained in a modern health facility, or whatever you may want to call it, how do you juxtapose the two and how do they compare? And what does it take? And at what level would an indigenous healer be regarded? And the training of that then needs to happen. Without the training and development qualifications framework, again, I think we'll continue to talk in circles. I have a lot to say, but you asked me to say one, I've already given you 4.
No, excellent. I think this is the kind of conversation we want to listen, because you exactly really nail it. Because that's what we're here. We really want to learn from your experience. We know Professor Masabisa from Free State, very much engaged into doing extensive work in research. And it's important. If we see South Africa with the highest GDP embarking into this, I think is a lesson for the rest of the continent that we need to really invest into this. So a very important point. I think the perception, which I agree, is it the traditional that's scaring people? Or is it traditional? Maybe we need to start like monkeypox. Is it the monkey or something? No, we're not calling mpox, so that it doesn't. So those things are they really are important from the public health perception, even community perception. So I think that is well noted. Very good comment. So what we're going to do is to invite now our panelists. No. I think let's get to the panel. So we'll take your question subsequently. So I took just a liberty. I'm already been warned that I shouldn't go beyond that one question. So now let me invite the panelists. If you are in the room, maybe I will just please give a round of applause to our speakers, keynote speakers. I might invite you if you don't have enough panelists to join, just to be sure that I give the first really attempt to invite our panelists here. So do we have Dr. Yakubu in the room? Dr. Yakubu? Dr. Yakubu, is Dr. Yakubu in? You're representing Dr. Yakubu. Please come on the stage. Next, I would like to invite the next panelist. This is the second segment of our session. Prof. Isaac Julius. Is Prof. Isaac Julius in the audience? Okay, thanks so much. Are you representing or you are Prof. Julius? Excellent, thank you. Next, Prof. Omale Simon. Oh, very good. Very good turnout. And then Professor Kwame. Excellent. So I still have 2 seats, and we only have men. I told you I'm going to be very, invite someone. I would like to bring back Dr. Angela here. Dr. Angela, she's gone or? Oh, Dr. Angela, please. Dr. Angela, hello, we need you on the stage. Okay, can you come on the stage, please? Hello, who is distracting Dr. Angela? Can you come on the stage, please, as a panelist? My colleague from South Africa, we need to continue so that we're sure that the conversation. Professor. At the end of it. Who is the name? I don't have the name here. I have Kwame, I have Omale, I have Isaac, but I need 2 women here. Only male panel is not, call it a manel. Where's she? She's there. It's not on there. Okay. Okay, Prof. Regina Apia, can you come on the stage? But I still need WHO. Please, Dr. Angela, on the stage, please, thank you for accepting the last invitation, probably my last minute invitation. It's just to have a balance so that we are all sync with our women in the room. Otherwise, I'm going to be blamed subsequently here. Okay, so we all have our panelists. I'm going to give them just a minute to each of them. I'm going to set the scene by saying this is a continent where we spend 800 billions per year for health commodities, where we have homegrown solutions. We're dealing with all sorts of diseases, including non-communicable diseases, HIV, malaria, TB, all those that you know. And something more important, we have had to deal with COVID, which is, and then pathogen X. We don't know when. It's a matter of, it's not if, but that's going to matter when this is going to happen again. Are we prepared? Are we going to repurpose some of these products for responses, for pandemic responses? So I'm going to give 1 minute to each of the panelists to first really see the contribution to each of those infectious diseases, and then we'll take it from there. Let me start with Professor Regina Apia-Opong. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, we have 10 minutes presentation. Is this before that or?
Do we have present? No, it's a panel. We don't have, please just speak. Speak for now. We don't really, we don't have enough time. Let's just speak. It's a panel, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, so indeed, if you talk about the preparedness.
Okay. 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 Who is it? Yeah, this is what I have. Oh, they don't look on it. Okay, I'm saying I left someone out, and he has a present. That's can we take it after the panel? Let me just resequence so that we don't reshuffle everything. So over to you, Prof. Regina. You have 1 minute just to set the scene.
Yes, if you talk about preparedness for some of these pathogens and so emerging diseases. I recall that when we had COVID back at Noguchi, some of us working there, they had a lot of plant medicine that came in. And this happened, I think I went to Nigeria, I realized they also had that. And some of these were very helpful during COVID. And so I would say that the only unfortunate thing is that, like we talked about, the R&D that has to be done. Herbalists will come and say, I know this will do it, but it's not about what you know, what's the science behind it? And so that's where the gap is. And so we need the government support, all stakeholders coming together to ensure that these products that these herbal medicine practitioners have, we all are interested in them. We want to know which ones are safe, which ones are efficacious, which ones can we move forward, so that we all together will work on that. So that really is where the matter is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Partnerships, very important, and the role of government. So let me take Dr. Angela. What is your stake around the diseases and the role of really traditional medicine?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I think I'll build on what Professor Pierre-Pong said and speak around the subject of self-sufficiency. Quite recently in Ghana, the president of Ghana convened a national sovereignty summit, and the discussions were around how we could establish countries to be self-sufficient in the products they produce and they consume. R&D is important, but I think also scaling up the local manufacture of these products in a way that aligns with current good manufacturing practice is also important. Yes, there's some manufacturing already going on in country, but how can we make the manufacturing more efficient? Technology transfer becomes an important subject to bring into the matter. And so for me, these two, to look at how we can tackle these pathogens and be self-sufficient in doing so, will be to scale up the local manufacture of these products in a sustainable and way that meets international standards, and also leverage on available technologies. Thank you.
Thank you. Manufacturing and then keeping to the standard that was discussed earlier, good manufacturing practices. Let me invite Prof. Omale Simon to comment. We can switch the mic, okay?
Okay, thank you. Yes, talking about our preparedness for emerging diseases. The traditional medicine practitioners are doing their bit, because each time we have pandemic, we always hear claims from them. What is lacking is the integration. What is lacking is the empowerment. What is lacking is taking up their claims to investigate what the traditional medicine practitioners are saying, so that if we validate it, then we should be able to take it further to manufacturing. For instance, I work in Africa Center of Excellence for Phytomedicine Research and Development. We are picking up their claims. During the COVID-19, we pick up 5 of their claims, and all of them have viral inhibition properties. It's just that we thank God that COVID-19 did not last. If not, we would have gone beyond the level we were. So yes, to some extent, traditional medicine practitioners are ready. They are working, but let's collaborate with them.
That's collaboration. We talked about partnership. We talked about good manufacturing practices. That is good. We're putting the dots together. Let me invite Prof. Kwame to comment on Prof. Kwame.
On the preparedness, or?
We've had 3 series of presentations.
Okay.
We had the gaps.
All right.
We had the opportunities.
I would take it on the evidence base. I'm a professor of pharmacology and toxicology, and we look at the efficacy and the safety of the medicinal plants. We collaborate with the Food and Drug Authority for the registration of the product. And in terms of research, I must also say that there's a very big gap when it comes to funding, because we need to bring the evidence, the scientific evidence to support the claims. And so that, as you said in your preliminary statement, we can even export our product to other parts of the world. So I will put the emphasis on the funds that we need. The case of COVID was a very big shame for all of us as Africans. We were just waiting for the Western world to bring the medicine to us. But in Africa, we have all the skills. We have professors, we have research, we have universities, we have the regulators. So what we need is the funds that should be made available for researchers to demonstrate the claims of our traditional medicine. And this is the efficacy. Aside that, we also need to make sure that these medicines don't cause other problems when taken. So the safety is also very, very important. And FDA in Ghana required 3 tests for the registration, including the toxicity analysis and the microbial load to make sure that there's no contamination. So then I will end with the training of our practitioners. In Ghana, the majority of our practitioners have not received formal education. So academia need to support them in the training. And recently, the university I belong to has organized a professional practice course where we managed to train almost 300 practitioners. The program was supported by WHO, and we collaborated with other institutions like FDA. And this is something that we need to scale up at the national level and make sure that all our practitioners are properly trained. Thank you.
Thank you. Education, research and development can build trust in terms of ensuring that we have safe and efficacious product. No, thank you so much. Let me get Prof. Isaac to comment on the series of presentations and the opportunities for traditional medicines.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think much has been said by my colleagues. I want to also stress on the area of research and development with regard to the common, maybe communicable, non-communicable disease. Let me speak emphatically on probably the management of a common disease condition like essential hypertension in Africa, West Africa, Ghana, where individuals claim these products are effective. I want to draw the attention that in most of the cases where individuals have used these products, after some time, they end up in the hospital, specifically the renal unit with renal dysfunction and kidney failure. Now, the reason why I want to stress on research and development is that the fact that preparation is useful in the maintaining the level of blood pressure does not mean it is necessarily safe. So whilst the individual is on it, the universities, academia must take upon themselves to look at the various adverse effects that are likely to occur with these products. The blood pressure and other parameters can be maintained, but you realize that the renal function tests, liver function tests, the blood electrolytes are very abnormal. And even if an individual is not on any traditional medication, the long-term essential hypertension, which is a chronic disease condition, often ends up in organ failures. Organ failures. The individual might be taking the normal orthodox drugs, but individuals that land in these renal unit, when interviewed, they are told they have been on these traditional medicines, and it's so unfortunate. So we can focus on the effectiveness, availability, the standard, but then if we don't monitor the progress of adverse effects in such individuals, we do them no good. So I want to attach my contribution to the aftermath of the usage of these traditional medicines, which is very, very important in increasing the quality of life of these individuals. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. It's linked to the previous speaker, the pharmacovigilance component in the product we are using. Let me close then with Dr. Benedict Owosu, your contribution.
Yeah, so I'm representing the registrar of the Traditional Medicine Practice Council, Dr. Yakubu. So I will talk from the point of view of the regulator. So I very much associate myself with some of the comments that have already been made by earlier speakers. But I see that two things I want to talk about: regulation. It is important that the practitioner is certified to practice the way he ought to practice. It is important that people are registered for those purposes. And before one can be certified, it means that we need some minimum level of training, at least in our case, where we have a lot of indigenous practitioners, people who have not been through formal education. But again, there is need for collaboration. Clearly, from what earlier speakers have mentioned, you realize that from the point of view of the manufacturer, the FDA have to come in. If we need to talk about research, the research institutions have to come in. Then, of course, the regulator has to come in. Academia has to come in. Ghana is doing so well at the moment. Prof. Banker from the Institute of Traditional Alternative Medicine, for example, from UHAS, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, having brought about the Bachelor of Science in Herbal Medicine. Even now, Pentecost University has also begun the Doctor of Herbal Medicine program. So clearly, academia, in terms of academia and training to formalize traditional medicine is ongoing, but they should not be in silos. There should be that strong collaboration even among ourselves and then with the conventional medicine practitioners, so that, as Prof was saying, if we are scared that people are reporting adverse reactions to some traditional medicine, can we get the documented evidence for that? And who will give the documentation? We have to train our practitioners to start from there. And so we have a basis to really ascertain that indeed this is actually coming from here. Otherwise, it becomes a low-hanging fruit that every now and then some adverse reaction is being attributed to traditional medicine. It may not be completely so at some point, but if collaboration is strong enough, we meet each other halfway and we can push for co-management of conditions. In that case, we can ensure that our practitioners have received some level of preparedness in terms of these emerging conditions that are coming about. Because if the people are running to our practitioners, because others say conventional medicine have no treatment for that, once they have the knowledge that, look, we can co-manage this condition with the conventional medical practitioner. So don't be scared of going there. We can go there, we can collaborate effectively to manage this condition. And here, I'm sure that if regulation is effective, we can resolve all these things.
Thank you, thank you. So now we've gone around with the panelists. I just want probably IT, please get the presentation from Prof. Jerome Medegan ready. So I'm going to take a few questions in the audience. I'll start with Prof. Morenike. Do we have a roving mic? There's another questions over there, the gentleman. No. Let's start with Prof. Morenike and then over to you. Those are two questions. And I think that is it. Then we'll take, if time will allow, a second round of questions. Prof. Morenike, over to you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for a beautiful, wonderful panel. You touched my own heart.
I have one or two issues to raise, and that is, what are we truly regulating? When you're talking about clinical efficacy and all this stuff, are you actually regulating herbal medicine or traditional medicine? Understanding with clarity that when we come into traditional medicine, many times it's beyond herbal. Many times it's beyond herbal. There are other elements that come into it. This becomes very important. I came here from Gambia, and I was in the country to develop their policies on traditional medicine. The headache still stays between the role of the Traditional Medicines Council and the Medical Council that would not move traditional herbal products into MCA, regulation, because that product is halfway. It's not efficacious, it's not the trial, but they've moved from basic, and nobody wants to handle this point and that's where 80% of traditional medicine is. It's not that clinical trial. If you do that clinical trial, that 100 number, to only move to 102 in another 10 years, in another 1 year, So what are you regulating? Let's call it by name. You're regulating herbal products as far as I'm concerned, not traditional medicines. So let's focus so that we understand what traditional medicine is defined properly, knowing that there's more to traditional medicine, and what is it that we can regulate in traditional medicines and we cannot regulate in traditional medicines, and make that very clear. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the semantic here, Prof. Morenike. A round of applause to our own Morenike. So yes, the second question over there, please, please be brief and concise like the professor.
Thank you very much. I'm Jonathan Tetekwao, a public health practitioner, be in the community, the health fraternity about 15 years, specifically in the HIV fraternity. I have realized that the herbal medicine lack the science behind.
Lacks the science?
The science,
okay.
Yes, when we talk about herbal medicine. So be in the HIV fraternity, I've realized over 15 years ago, somebody may test HIV positive then, and the person will say that, oh, I would not like to go on ARVs. I'll be on herbal preparation. And you see them be on herbal preparations, doing well. You will see opportunistic infections being healed. You see them moving well. But when you check their CD4 count, you see dropping drastically. So it tells you what the ARV can do, which have both nucleoside and non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. The herbal medicine have just one side, improving the immunity, but cannot suppress or support the viral replication. So if I talk about the science behind the herbal medicine, I think what our panelists and the presenters, they've done a good presentation, but what are they doing about that? That if you pick herbal medicine, apart from improving the immunity, what can it do to stop replication when it comes to viral and other diseases? Thank you.
Okay. So like asking my grandmom, this product you've been taking, what is it? The active ingredient. I mean, these are very different. That's why it's called traditional, right? So we're trying to really get to that point. But the more we put in resources into traditional medicines and herbal medicine, we'll get to answer those questions. Because what you're asking is that you get the active ingredient and then you test it and then you move it to manufacture and they come and sell it to you. So it's because of those really evidence within the community that this might be actually what gets something in to treat X. But we don't know what is in that X until we fund it. We get the younger generation like you to do some bench work and then demonstrate it. My grandmom will not know that. So until we fund someone that is close to the community that have observed and have evidence that this can lead to cure, then we get that product up. There have been thousands of products probably within the community that we have never remained untouched. So it's around infrastructure, around funding, getting the science to drive this, as you mentioned, but I will not take that there's no science behind it. Okay? Quality science is also science. So thank you so much. Maybe if you have just one can address that perception that there's no science behind traditional medicine, then we can take the presentation that is cute. Let me start, yeah, over to you.
Thank you very much. And for the questioner, the one who made the presentation, I hope you are with us. He's not looking here. So what you said, and I thank you very much, moderator, what he said is so right. There's a lot of science going on, even with HIV as you're speaking. I guess that you have been looking at publications and you realize that there are lots of publications that have evidence that work has been done. In fact, there was one work project we did with the Japanese, and we looked at cocoa. It has been published, procyanidin C1, that is even able to bring HIV, that is in the inactive form, bring it back to the active form. That is also one critical area, okay? And plant medicine does so well with that. If we had time to make some presentations, you'll see that it's doing so well. The bottom line, again, goes to the funding. But even without the funding, so much has been done. If you actually look critically at work that has been done. I personally have been involved in quite a bit of work. I remember my mentor at Yale University had a wonderful plant medicinal product. In fact, he had a patent on it at Yale, and we call him the richest over there because he made a lot out of it. So there's a lot going on. Yes, there are gaps. I agree and accept that there are gaps. But again, we are saying that if we get funding, it's really sad that now I'll be making a presentation on Sunday. It's really sad that we started very early, but because our governments are not behind us and we are not together, we are not doing this together, we are going at a snail pace. But we have so much resources. Now the West is reaping in a lot because they are now grabbing the plant medicines that we are rejecting and struggling to accept. They have grabbed and they're running with it. But we are still standing here and not really believing what we have. And I find that quite unfortunate. Yeah. So we have to work hard at what we have. We have so much, I call it our gold, Africa's gold, and we must work at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's clear. The pharmacopoeia is there. We're still dealing with anecdotal evidences, not scientific evidence, making it difficult to believe. Because everyone now, even that's the Prof. Morenike question, what are we regulating? If we are regulating and everyone is on the street getting some concoction and shaking like this and getting people to drink, does that build trust? Because that's also the product is aimed to serve the community. You also have to do a business case. And we just don't just do that for, for charity, isn't it? It's a business. So we need an investment case around manufacturing. I mean, traditional medicine, meaning we need to get people that are serious in the business, that can demonstrate partially what my friend is saying. There's no science behind that. There's actually science behind. If data is saying 80% are consuming, so mean we need to do something. So maybe I'll just let you, each of you, a minute. The regulation.
The regulation.
What are we regulating?
Okay, so what we are regulating in traditional medicine is summarized by the 3 Ps: the practitioner, the practice, and the product. Oh. So the practitioner, we are regulating the people who practice. And this is the role of Traditional Medicine Practice Council that will give a license to them. And then the practice, we are regulating the method and procedures used. And then the product, we are also regulating the efficacy and the safety of the product. So these are the 3 pillars in terms of regulation. So, and maybe if I can add...
Another P? You said 3 Ps.
No, about the absence of science. Okay. I want to assure the colleagues here that even Western medicine, that is called modern medicine today, was once traditional. All medicine started traditional before modernization. And the modernization came with research. It is when the research was developed to show the efficacy, the mechanism, the safety, the formulation, that the medicine shifted from traditional to modern. The Chinese, for instance, their medicine has nothing traditional. Everything is modern, but they have maintained the traditional as a brand to make a difference with the Western medicine. So where we are now, in terms of research, we've done a lot of preclinical studies, and the results are there. If you go online, you check, even for the HIV, cancer, hypertension, a lot of preclinical studies have been done. Now we need funds to move to the clinical trial to get the final investigation.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I'll ask Dr. Benedict Owosu. Let me invite, I'll ask Prof to come. You can join.
Yeah, so
just a minute. I want to invite so that you can swap the seat so that Prof can deliver his presentation. Prof, hello, Prof. You're invited. I'm sure your presentation is ready. Prof. Jerome. So you have a presentation. I strongly believe so. Is it a PowerPoint presentation? Vous avez une présentation, c'est PowerPoint ou vous allez juste faire une présentation orale? Is the presentation ready, please, IT? Okay, good. So you're going to have a seat subsequently so that you, the remaining panelists, wait there, just to be sure when it's done. So, on vous invite alors de faire votre présentation, Prof. Vous avez 10 minutes pour votre présentation. Prof. Medigan Fagla Jerome is going to give his own perspective on traditional medicine. Thank you.
Messieurs, c'est les organisateurs qui devraient nous présenter.
Vous allez avancer avec ça, ça va, allez-y.
Mais comme ce n'est pas le cas, oui, je vais me présenter avant de commencer à partager avec vous mon expérience sur le traitement du VIH au Bénin à partir de la médecine traditionnelle. Bon. Je m'appelle Dr Medigan Fagla Jérôme. Bien sûr, je suis docteur en médecine, mais je suis docteur aussi en biochimie. J'ai 2 brevets à Paris, délivrés par l'INPI. J'ai un laboratoire de médecine traditionnelle dont le but, c'est de présenter à côté de la médecine conventionnelle des molécules tirées de l'expérience de nos parents, donc présenter des médicaments tirés à 100% de notre médecine traditionnelle. Je suis académicien, je suis membre de l'Académie de médecine de Berlin-Potsdam. Laissez-moi partager avec vous mon expérience sur le traitement du VIH à partir de notre médecine traditionnelle. J'ai entendu un jeune collègue ici, je crois que c'est le pharmacologue, il dit que toutes les meilleures médecines, avant d'être la meilleure médecine distribuée dans les pharmacies,
c'était d'abord une médecine traditionnelle. Alors, c'est un honneur pour moi de faire cette présentation à partir de mon expérience personnelle sur ce sujet d'innovation, la médecine traditionnelle et le VIH. Comment chez nous, on soigne selon la tradition? Nous ne sommes pas blancs, nous sommes différents des blancs. Et nous avons toujours eu notre médecine. Et sans cette médecine, l'Afrique n'aurait pas été le berceau de l'humanité. Voilà. Comment soigner par la médecine traditionnelle? Cela, c'est propre à nous. Le guérisseur traditionnel, comme nos aïeux ont fait, et nos aïeux ont fait ça, ça nous a permis d'être là, d'être médecins, d'être de grands professeurs. La tradition, le guérisseur traditionnel soigne d'abord l'âme, et puis dans un deuxième temps le corps avec les remèdes. La tradition associe toujours le culte à la culture, qui sont incontournables lorsqu'un désordre social tel que la maladie survient. Le bel exemple est la prise en charge des épidémies, chez nous, des épidémies dans les couvents de vaudou. N'oubliez pas que le Bénin est, disons, le Vatican du vaudou. Et nous venons d'adopter le vaudou comme notre religion nationale. Pourquoi mettons-nous ce sujet au cours de cette communion africaine sur le VIH? C'est bien parce que, avec l'évolution des temps et la colonisation grandissante, nous pensons oublier notre naturel africain. Et ce dicton de Blaise Pascal selon lequel « vérité en deçà des Pyrénées, erreur au-delà ». Dans la sagesse africaine, le principe « mens mollem agitat » se traduisant par la suprématie de l'esprit sur la matière est de règle. C'est cela en Afrique. Ceci se voit dans les temps antiques. Le guérisseur traditionnel, comme je l'ai dit, utilise le fa. Chez nous, on utilise le fa pour interroger d'abord l'esprit. C'est une technique divinatoire. Et puis après, il y a les remèdes pour désigner le corps, pour soigner le corps. Aujourd'hui, les médecins que nous sommes, les professeurs que nous sommes, mes jeunes collègues qui sont là, utilisent d'abord le stéthoscope et croient beaucoup en la médecine des Blancs. Chez nous, il y a une science des hommes oiseaux. Mais cette science n'est pas uniquement africaine. Le raisonnement au Bénin fait au cours de la consultation la connaissance de la vie du patient dans son passé et dans l'avenir avant d'identifier le remède qui va le guérir. N'est-ce pas là la notion d'histoire de la maladie et les antécédents qu'utilise la médecine moderne? C'est ce que nos parents font. Nous devons être fiers de ce que nos aïeux ont fait. C'est bien l'effet quantique de la matière qui a permis de décerner le dernier prix Nobel de 2025 sur la médecine, le prix de la physique quantique à ces savants qui viennent de passer. Chez nous, les raisonnements utilisaient les principes de non-localité, aussi nommés la non-séparabilité, l'enchevêtrement ou l'intrication, ainsi que l'effet tunnel que vous avez tous appris à l'université en physique quantique. Les Blancs appellent ça de façon péjorative de la sorcellerie, mais je crois que nous devons quitter une fois pour de bon cette notion de sorcellerie pour parler de science, d'utiliser de l'utilisation des propriétés quantiques de la matière que l'homme blanc lui-même n'a pas encore maîtrisé ni bien compris, et que pourtant nos ancêtres utilisaient depuis des millénaires. L'Égypte a été construite, ils ont mis des blocs de 20 tonnes à plus de 100 mètres. Par quelle technique? Il faut se rendre à l'évidence. Cette pratique ancienne, mais toujours actuelle, est une réalité aussi en Amérique du Sud et en Égypte, comme je viens de le dire, dans l'Antiquité. Cette Égypte, berceau de la civilisation humaine. On ne peut pas se développer par la science des autres, mais on peut se développer par ce que nous sommes, africains. Cette pratique est d'ailleurs déjà reconnue par l'OMS depuis 1976. Et cette vidéo du DG de l'OMS le confirme. Bon, pourtant au Bénin, comme chez vous, à ce que je viens, par tout ce que je viens d'entendre, pourtant au Bénin, et comme au Ghana aussi, bien qu'un cadre institutionnel ait été créé au ministère de la Santé, la médecine traditionnelle peine à être intégrée dans le système sanitaire et donc dans les formations sanitaires. Mais malgré cela, les patients riches ou même pauvres y ont toujours recours. J'ai entendu ici qu'au Ghana aussi, 80% de la population a recours à cette médecine, soit avant ou pendant ou même après l'épisode de maladie, comme le montrent ces références. Pourquoi ne pas la régulariser et vouloir faire ce que le blanc veut que nous fassions, en négligeant notre médecine, en créant toutes sortes de barrières à notre propre médecine, sans lesquelles nous ne serions pas là. Quand moi j'étais né, il n'y avait aucune médecine des blancs. On nous soignait par les plantes. Et croyez-moi, j'ai pratiquement 80 ans, mais je continue de pratiquer le karaté. Je suis maître de karaté. On voit clairement que malgré un cadre institutionnel créant un Conseil national de lutte contre le sida, le paludisme et les maladies épidémiques, la médecine traditionnelle, à cause de tout ça, n'a pas été intégrée à la prise en charge des patients dans le cadre du VIH. Mais bien que nous-mêmes, nous nous évertuons à ne pas mettre ça en exergue, hein, on peut quand même noter des succès de cette médecine traditionnelle. Venons-en au cœur du sujet que je veux vous présenter, que je veux partager avec vous, mes frères, et surtout mes jeunes frères médecins qui parlaient de médecine traditionnelle, parce que nous avons tout à gagner dans cette affaire-là. Nous avons les meilleures molécules à faire, croyez-moi. Et je vais commencer dans un but didactique à parler de mon propre parcours, déjà initié, comme peut-être la plupart de vous, dans la tradition quand nous étions jeunes, mais devenu médecin, j'ai décidé de faire biologie et biochimie au plus haut niveau et j'ai fini par diriger le laboratoire de biochimie et de biologie cellulaire de l'Université nationale du Bénin pendant toute ma carrière. Et alors, j'ai décidé que mon laboratoire devait s'évertuer à développer la médecine traditionnelle et faire fi de tout ce qu'on dit sur cette médecine traditionnelle pour nous retarder. Parce que le but seulement, c'est de nous retarder. Le premier essai que j'ai fait, ayant été concluant par la découverte du VK500 et avoir obtenu 2 brevets grâce au soutien du président Chirac et du Premier ministre Michel Rocard, parce que les brevets à Paris, à l'INPI, sont excessivement chers.
plus d'1,3 milliard. Comment avons-nous procédé pour le VIH? De certaines tentatives qui, bien sûr, ont été infructueuses parce que nous cherchons à trouver un traitement pour le VIH à partir de notre médecine traditionnelle depuis 40 ans. Je peux vous inviter à visiter mon laboratoire. Nous travaillons avec l'Institut Max Planck de Fribourg et croyez-moi, nous sommes outillés. J'ai constaté que les enfants drépanocytaires qui sont en même temps infectés par le VIH que nous traitons avec le VK500, dans lequel nous avons ajouté quelque chose pour booster leur système immunitaire, parce que les drépanocytaires SS font toutes les maladies parce que leur système immunitaire est complètement par terre. Et pour arriver à 0 maladie, à ce que nos enfants drépanocytaires ne meurent plus, nous avons ajouté à la préparation quelque chose qui booste le système immunitaire. Et nous avons constaté que les enfants drépanocytaires qui avaient en même temps le sida et que nous soignions, avaient un pronostic tout à fait différent alors que leurs parents mouraient de VIH. Eux, ils étaient préservés. Ceci nous a permis de développer un médicament contre le VIH en misant sur le système immunitaire. De façon indirecte. Ce que nous faisons aujourd'hui avec les antirétroviraux consiste à bombarder le VIH avec des molécules très puissantes, les unes plus puissantes que les autres. Mais nous autres Africains, nous avons choisi de réparer le corps humain, booster le système immunitaire et de voir ce qui peut se passer. Parce que de tout ce que j'ai eu, de tout ce que j'ai visité, de tous les guérisseurs dans toute l'Afrique que j'ai visité, eh bien, je crois qu'ils sont tous sur ce système, sur cette piste du système immunitaire, sans savoir très bien comment les choses sont en train de se passer. Mais nous avons compris cela. Et nous avons mis au point un premier médicament. Un médicament qui va rester très important dans le traitement des personnes atteintes par le VIH. C'est d'abord un médicament qui est d'ailleurs très agréable à prendre parce que ça a un goût sucré. Ça se prend comme un apéritif. Mais croyez-moi, si vous me désignez des personnes importantes, j'enverrai des échantillons de cette histoire-là que vous allez prendre. Vous vous sentirez beaucoup plus fort. Vous n'aurez plus aucune maladie parce que ça va booster votre système immunitaire. Ce médicament, je vous dis, brevet français. Ce médicament qui est simple, nous le donnons à la dose de 30 millilitres 3 fois par jour. Bien sûr, nous demandons aux malades qui sont sous antirétroviraux d'arrêter leurs antirétroviraux. Parce que nous, au Bénin, nous avons déjà décidé de partir de notre médecine traditionnelle pour faire des médicaments conventionnels, exactement que les médicaments que nous fabriquons, que nous allons acheter dans toutes les pharmacies. Et nous demandons aux personnes infectées par le VIH d'arrêter leurs antirétroviraux et nous les mettons sous cette préparation à la dose de 30 millilitres 3 fois par jour. Croyez-moi, franchement. Et je parle à notre ami là qui m'a vraiment intéressé. Le résultat est très encourageant. Aucune toxicité. Le malade, au bout de quelques semaines, se rétablit. Le malade qu'on vous emmène et qui ne peut même pas marcher, au bout d'une semaine, il recommence à marcher. Les paramètres cliniques ont été très encourageants et nous avons constaté une non-transmission aux partenaires une fois ces patients retournés dans leur famille. Cependant, un effet paradoxal que j'ai observé, parce qu'en Afrique, il y a des gens qui soignent avec les plantes. J'ai observé cette affaire chez tous ces guérisseurs, c'est qu'au début, la charge virale augmente alors que le malade se porte très très bien. Le fait de constater cette efficacité et la non-transmission quand les patients retournent chez eux est une question que je voulais apporter à nous tous, parce qu'ici, nous sommes tous des frères. Le Ghana, le Bénin, nous sommes les mêmes. Vous voyez un Ghanéen, s'il ne parle pas anglais, on dirait que c'est un Béninois. Je voulais vous apporter ça. De toutes les façons, nous sommes obligés de travailler ensemble et de moderniser notre médecine traditionnelle. Et franchement, ce qu'il a dit m'a vraiment enchanté. Tous les meilleurs médicaments ont d'abord été des médicaments traditionnels. Et nous allons faire ceci, faire ceci tout en continuant de plaider afin que la médecine traditionnelle soit réellement intégrée dans notre système sanitaire, qu'elle soit surtout régulée et qu'elle soit engagée dans la pérennité, car nous pensons, comme l'OMS, qu'elle renforcera le système immunitaire de nos pays africains. Je voudrais vous remercier parce que mon ami me dit de faire court. Je vous remercie. Mes premiers remerciements vont quand même à l'endroit de ces Blancs qui ont très rapidement développé les antirétroviraux, ce qui nous a permis de contrôler, de contenir un peu l'infection au VIH. Je dois remercier aussi les promoteurs de la culture africaine, comme le président Talon chez nous. C'est un jeune homme qui a eu le courage de dire « nous ne pouvons pas fuir ce que nous sommes » et qui a décrété la religion vaudou comme notre religion nationale. Le 10 janvier, vous verrez tous les Blancs qui disent que nous ne valons rien. Ils sont tous là à venir apprendre nos cultures, à danser avec nous. Je vous inviterai le 10 janvier. Je peux contenir à peu près une trentaine de personnes. Faites une délégation, vous venez chez moi, vous allez voir ça. Je dois remercier ici le ministre de la Santé du Bénin, mais je dois remercier un jeune, M. Luc Boudéa, qui, à travers la Société africaine anti-sida, m'a permis de me tenir aujourd'hui devant vous pour dire autre chose que ce qu'on a l'habitude d'entendre. Et je suis très heureux d'avoir participé à cette grande messe africaine sur le VIH, même si nous ne parlons pas tous le même langage. Je voudrais ne pas oublier ici le colonel-major Alain Azondéou, à tous les acteurs de la promotion des plantes qu'on ne considère pas beaucoup, mais qui font quand même avancer les choses, en particulier chez moi, à quelqu'un qu'on appelle Kerosu. Je voudrais, pour finir, remercier mon épouse Valentine qui est là, qui m'a toujours relevé quand j'ai semblé tout abandonner, parce que pour arriver à ces résultats dont je suis en train de vous parler, il s'est passé 40 ans. Et je n'oublierai pas l'OMS pour son soutien, surtout dans les stratégies innovantes du renforcement du système immunitaire. Et je n'oublierai pas M. Alfred Kenom, le premier directeur africain de l'OMS, qui nous a toujours dit « N'ayez pas peur des Blancs, plongez dans notre médecine. » Si cette médecine n'avait pas été efficace, l'Afrique n'aurait pas été le berceau de l'humanité. Et le jeune qui est là-bas, qui m'a vraiment impressionné, je voudrais que vous visitiez mon laboratoire. Vous allez voir les travaux que nous y faisons. Je connais personnellement tous ces prix Nobel sur le VIH. Je connais le professeur Luc Montagnier. J'ai été dans le laboratoire où ils ont élaboré cette histoire-là. Venez me voir. Je vous invite tout personnellement. À vous
merci
tous
beaucoup.
qui êtes ici. Je vous dis merci.
Merci.
Et merci pour être venu m'écouter. Merci beaucoup. Et Natchenumi, merci infiniment.
Asseyez-vous pour ça. Vous pouvez prendre place. No, thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to Professor again. I think at this age, you imagine how at 30 he was, right? So we really appreciate and also the effort and being here. I think this is very important, really forum to appreciate our researchers, that have really set the scene for most of us to be here. So I think we are going to wrap up this session so that we can get some takeaway messages. Number one, really, it's a strong appeal to our government to invest into traditional medicines, in general research based, because even the last presentation, and then this is also probably an appeal to ICASA, if we get this translated into English, those will appreciate really what went through all this journey from Prof. So number one, really being sure that there's a strong partnerships, there are strong partnership, and really innovative financing to support traditional medicine on its own, making a case for it. We've seen the presentation, most of these IP or tech transfer were funded by the French government. And we need to start seeing more of these probably from this beautiful continent. So number one, R&D. I think the speakers, the panelists, justice to the topic. We all agree that we need more research, pharmacovigilance, being sure that some of the adverse events are being clearly documented. That's very important. We need to develop standard. I think this came across all the presentations, which also link to quality and regulation. So we need to increase that domestic financing, as we mentioned, and then the innovation around delivery. Because we also agree that some of these products might be delivered in a very good and appealing way to be sure that can be commercialized. But we didn't talk about the market. Can we get a product from Ghana ending up in Zimbabwe and being really part of that conversation? Because it has to be also a sustainable business. I don't think it's something we talked about. And then that's part of the supply chain. I talked about that sustainability. And then we need to be sure that how do we maintain this pharmacopoeia over time? Someone mentioned these trees. We're not sure they're going to be, we don't know what's going to happen to these trees if the real people who know the value of this comes in and harvest this gold. Someone said gold. I think we need to really be sure that we take good use of it. Manufacturing as well. I think we need to be sure that good manufacturing practice is being across board. We already talked about that. And then we need to thank really SAR. This is one of the meetings I've seen this topic being extensively discussed. We need to continue because this is part of the conversation. It's really important that we start going back to our own root. As I've said earlier, these outbreaks, they are getting more and more frequent. We don't know what disease X will be. We're going to be going back to the drawing board again and looking for those traditional illness. If we build that capability now, it's just going to be a starting point. As I've said during COVID, 11 products were to move to clinical trials. That means that there's a lot that can be done. So again, I really wish to thank all of you, Prof. Idoko, our ministers, Prof. Morenike, the chair, for waiting till the end of this. I asked myself, hey, this traditional medicine, maybe there's more money coming into this. Be sure that we translate this into policy, but it's then because these are the leaders, they really want to see this topic being embedded in such an important conference like ICASA. Having said that, really thank you all for staying behind, and we hope you actually were able to take the message and be sure that this is an agenda we need to continue. So to be continued. And look, we need to see next ICASA with more of these sessions. So I would like to invite all our dignitaries to the group, really photographs here, so that we can really keep this in our own record. Please, I invite you to all move to the stage. And also our panelists, please give a hand of applause to our panelists. They did a good job and justice to the topic. No, it was, you know what I meant, right? Prof. Idoko, please. Minister Chanwe, please. You can just, because this is important for the African context. to show we patronize this session. Dr. Benjamin from the African Union, please, we need you on board. It's a very important topic to take back to the AU Commission. Okay. So the photographs, please, let me know when you're done. I'm waiting for you, guys. Madame also, Madame le professeur, hein? On a besoin de vous. Vous avez accompagné le papa jusqu'à la gare. Et puis, il faut être là. Hein? Ça, c'est très bien. Ça, c'est très bien. Ça, c'est très bien. Voilà, voilà, voilà. Are we good? Photographs, I can see. We're all good? No, be sure you take Madame part of this. It's important. So, okay, if we're done, really, thank you so much, all of you. I think it's been a great session. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're a great moderator. I really like. Oh, thank you. You did a great job.
Oh,
yes, yes. Okay, very good.
So